Hey, welcome to the sermon recap today, where we recap and add a little to Sunday's sermon. I want to add something today to what we talked about Sunday. We talked about our calling. We talked about that we should value our calling, and Paul encouraged us to walk worthy. And then we focused in on unity, where it says here in Ephesians, with all lowliness and gentleness, with long suffering, bearing one another in love. And then he says this, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. And the sermon title was Strive After Unity. That we're always, we live in a negative world, and this world is always trying to divide us. But in the church, we need to strive, we need to work for, we need to promote an attitude of unity. And that's what he talks about in verse 2, this attitude of humility, of gentleness. We don't see a lot of people gentle today, of meekness. And so we ask ourselves, what is the opposite of that? Or what hinders us from having this humble attitude? And I believe it's pride. Pride is kind of the opposite of a humble attitude. A couple of proverbs here I want to read for you today. Proverbs 11:2. When pride comes, then comes shame or disgrace, but with the humble is wisdom. Proverbs 16:18, and you probably have heard this proverb before. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit, or a lifted up spirit, or a very prideful spirit before a fall. And I'm sure all of us have experienced this proverb in our lives. Satan fell. He was a created angel. Why did he fall? Because of pride. He wanted to lift up himself above God's throne. That's what pride is. Pride is belief in ourselves. Pride is feeling that we're superior even to God. And Isaiah 2 verse 11 is kind of a sobering verse for us to consider when we talk about pride, because he says this, the haughty looks of man shall be brought low, and the lofty pride of men shall be humbled, and the Lord alone will be exalted in that day. Think about that only God is the one that will be exalted in that day. And there are a lot of proud people today. There are a lot of people saying a lot of things against God, for God, all these different things. But when it comes down to it, we're mere humans. We're finite. I don't understand why. Well, I understand because of our sinful nature, but why we have such pride. And it can come from poor people, it can come from rich people, it can come from educated people, it can come from uneducated people. We all have this subtle pride. So how can we identify pride? And here's a couple of things I read that we can think about this morning of how we identify pride. First one is we're blind to it. Oftentimes, we don't see pride in ourselves. We see it in others, but we don't see it in ourselves. And we need to understand everything we have is by God's grace, that we're all sinners. We're all in the same boat. We all need Jesus to die on the cross. But sometimes we can be blind to this pride. Another sign of pridefulness is unthankfulness, that we're unthankful. I am so thankful. I got up today. The day was beautiful day today. I ate last night, a warm place to sleep, wife by my side. So listen, there are so many things we should be thankful for today. And it's amazing that in our society that we have everything, that I meet so many people that are unthankful. That's a sign of pride. We think we deserve better. I should have better than what I have. No, everything you have is by God's grace, and we don't deserve anything. Another sign of pride, outburst of anger, withdrawing, pouting, being moody, impatient, getting impatient. We see this, there's a line. We get impatient. Listen to me. I'm so thankful I can go to the grocery store and buy groceries. You don't understand what a blessing that is. If you have to wait in line a little bit, so what? And I feel bad for the people working today, because they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, no problem. No hurry. You're doing your best. You can't serve everybody. But we have the outburst of anger, withdrawal, and pouting. Huh? Those are our teenagers today, right? That's a sign of pride. That is pride. And then another subtle form of pride is perfectionism. This type of person wants everything to be perfect so they can show that they're better than you because they know how to do it better than you. And I'm tired of how people do this and how they. Perfectionism is a sign of pride. Seeking independence. I don't need anyone. Here's one. I don't need accountability. Think about that. Yeah, we all need accountability. We all need accountability because we're gonna try to find a way around the rules all the time. Monopolizing a conversation. Being consumed. Here's another sign of pride. Being consumed of what others think. I see people like, I don't drive the best cars, and sometimes I'll see my kids like, oh, drop me off over there. I'm ashamed. Why are you ashamed? Who cares? We have a car. Who cares? Has a few dents and a little rust. I don't care what other people think. But people that are consumed all the time of what others think is a subtle form of pride. Being devastated by criticism, not listening very well, being unteachable, being sarcastic, wanting to be urged, like in the church. Like instead of volunteering, you're like, well, I'll serve if somebody calls me up front or the pastor gives me a call, then maybe I'll do it. Instead of that's pride. That's like, oh yeah, I'm so good. You got to call on me. No, that's pride. That's like I'm waiting for somebody to come after me. And so being defensive. Here's another one. That's another form of pride. It's not my fault. Not my fault. Not my fault. I didn't do it. Instead of taking responsibility, being revengeful, rationalizing, justifying a wrong action, not asking for forgiveness or not forgiving another, that's pride. Not praying, not reading our Bibles, that's prayer. That's pride. We're saying, I don't need God today. I don't need His Word. I don't need to pray. I can handle it myself. Disrespecting others. And I could go on. These are all signs of pride. And if we're going to have this pride in our lives, we're not going to have unity in our marriage. We're not going to have unity in our family. We're not going to have unity in our church. We're not going to have unity in our community. Pride is the destroyer of unity. It's the destroyer of love. It's the destroyer of relationships. What did we read earlier? When pride comes, then comes shame. Pride goes before destruction. God help us today to humble ourselves. And as we think about Ephesians 4, we're going to continue this idea of our worthy walk, walking worthy. First point was Sunday. If we're going to walk worthy, we need to strive for unity. Strive for it because of our sinful nature, because of our pride, we're always working against unity. We need to allow God to humble ourselves that we may seek unity. And first of all, that unity comes in our relationship with God. That was the second point, Sunday. All right. Have a great week. We'll see you Sunday. Read Ephesians 4 as we prepare for the message. We're going to be talking about striving to serve, striving to use our gifts next Sunday. And so we'll see you next Sunday at Faith Baptist Church. God bless and have a great day.